the heart of Westminster. Heathrow Airport's plans for expansion have been dealt a major blow after the government confirmed it would not appeal against yesterday's court decision to block the building of a third runway on environmental grounds. So, is it ever going to happen? Joining me to discuss that are Paul McGuinness, chair of the No Third Runway Coalition, Siobhan Bonita, who is the Liberal Democrat candidate for the London Mayor, and Lord Adonis, Andrew Adonis, the Labour peer and former Labour Cabinet Minister and transport expert. Welcome to you. Well, Paul McGuinness, you first. Do you think it's over now?
Well, I don't know about that. I would say possibly history may show that this was a technical knockout. Obviously, there's a great deal of excitement amongst the communities who've been fighting for this for a very long time. And many of them sort of been living under the spectre, of this fearfully. It's 21 years ago since Heathrow promised that in no circumstances would they apply for a third runway. And really ever since then, they've been fearful. So this is a big victory for them.
What do you think? Is it going to happen?
No, I hope it's over. I hope the government now take the opportunity to say once and for all that there will be no expansion at Heathrow. We all know that we are facing a global climate crisis, and we have to stop investing in these kind of dirty projects, not just because of the emissions that have come out of Heathrow, but also for the well-being of people in London who are affected by this on a daily basis. Expansion would be hugely detrimental to them.
I mean, the point is made that if you don't build the runway, we're not going to stop the planes flying. They're just going to fly to other places, probably to our economic disadvantage.
But we don't want to be encouraging even more flying. What we want to be doing is looking at other modes of transport. We're very much in favour of investing in infrastructure for railways across the country. There are so many flights that don't need to be taken.
Railways in the UK are not going to change people saying, well, OK, I'll fly to Paris or Amsterdam then.
Well, actually, a lot of those flights, I'm not opposed to people flying for necessary means. I'm not opposed to people flying for holidays. I know people have family that they need to go and meet. But actually, there are quite a few flights which, if you look to a greener future, don't need to be taken. A lot of business can be done through Skype, through other virtual means. And we need to be looking, if we're serious about addressing the climate crisis, we have to be looking at that different type of future.
Is it time to give up? I mean, you've been an advocate of this project, but as concerns about the climate come in, isn't it time to say that maybe this wasn't the right answer for this time?
Well, we can't not have a policy on something as important as the future of airports and aviation. And what Boris Johnson did yesterday was essentially to abdicate, because he said the government still supports the expansion of Heathrow. That's what the Transport Secretary said. But he said that they're not going to appeal. Now, it's important to understand where Boris comes from on this, because when he and I used to deal with each other, and I was Transport Secretary and he was Mayor of London, he was in favour of a completely new airport in the Thames Estuary, where indeed we started building an airport in Maplin Sands in the 1970s. There was still, if you go into the sea there were still massive piles from when the construction started. It was a classic stop-go story of British infrastructure. The construction started, the government changed, they then stopped constructing it. It'll be exactly the same, but there has to be an answer. But to those who say that there will be less aviation, the plan that Boris had for the airport in the estuary had more runways and more flights than Heathrow. And we have 2 runways at Heathrow. There are 4 runways at Paris Charles de Gaulle. There are 6 runways at Amsterdam Schiphol. There are 4 runways in Frankfurt. The traffic which would have gone to Heathrow of great economic benefit to us is not going to cease to be materialised in terms of flights. It's now going to go to our major European competitors.
Maybe Heathrow was just the wrong place, and we ought to be rethinking this. I mean, you're a big supporter of the latest high-speed rail going up to Birmingham. It's only going to take 40 minutes to get there. Why not have more flights there?
Well, anyone who tells you there's an easy answer to aviation is, of course, a complete fool. I mean, it's a massively problematic issue. The reason that Heathrow is where it is because of a decision taken in 1945, but we now have 5 terminals at Heathrow. We have 2 runways. We're just about to open Crossrail, the £16 billion public transport fast, rapid scheme for London, which serves Heathrow, and a big part of the economic case for it is Heathrow. 100,000 people work at Heathrow. I'm always very amused when campaigners say that it's unpopular. In my experience campaigning in West London, for every person who complains about Heathrow, there's somebody who works there, and there's another person who lives in West London because of the proximity to Heathrow. So we need to get real about the economic effects of this. This issue isn't going away, and if it's not going to be Heathrow, it will be something else.
Yes, I'm surprised actually, to hear this. Andrew, you have been beating a drum for infrastructure projects, for quite some time, and admirably so. I think the problem is now that the beat of that drum, the rhythm of it, has changed. And even since the parliamentary vote on Heathrow, something quite seismic has happened. And that's that we have signed up, internally to some carbon restrictions. And also, as the court declared yesterday, we can't do this just for virtue signalling. There are policy ramifications when you make these commitments. And I don't think you were quite correct when you asserted yesterday that the governor responded that they were
but all of what you're saying is this means less flying, less traffic, and all the rest of that. That's your argument. That's what the court's saying.
I don't think that's the crucial point that's come out here. And yesterday, in fact,
surely it is. I mean, if you care about the environment,
so yesterday the government said they were broadly in favour of expansion. I think what they've realised now is that when you have a carbon budget, if you're going to put 4 million tonnes at Heathrow, as indeed the Committee on Climate Change says, you can have no expansion elsewhere. And the danger is that if you were to have an expansion down in already the overheated economic advantage southeast, you are effectively assaulting regional opportunity.
I think that we have to step back and look at the bigger picture. We can't keep fighting last century's battles and talking about the way business was done then. We need to look to a future where business is going to be done so differently, because we all appreciate that we have to take radical action to tackle the climate crisis that we have.
I mean,
we should be investing in electric infrastructure across the country. We should be investing in different ways that people can, connectivity does not require people now to physically fly around the globe to be in touch with each other.
But that's another world. I mean, it may change. Maybe coronavirus will change people's attitudes.
Well, it might. We might be having a natural experiment soon.
As it stands, even if you're making the environmental case, isn't the root of what you're saying really NIMBYism? Because, the argument for Heathrow is it is the best connected hub we have in this country, that people fly there because it connects and it's got the transport links, he says. And to do anything anywhere else would actually just make the fresh environmental disruption elsewhere.
I really don't think it is NIMBYism. And what's interesting is that certainly the people with whom we have contact, and these are parliamentarians, some of whom actually supported Heathrow last time round, are worried about the regional impact. The Lord Mayor of Manchester, the Mayor of Manchester, a previous colleague of Andrews, Andy Burnham, has stated that, were expansion of Heathrow to go ahead, it would simply mean investment around the M25. If we are serious as a country about rebalancing our economy, we need to have a national air capacity strategy rather than creating a monopoly down in the southeast.
I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to say I care about the well-being of people who are affected by the noise pollution, by the air pollution of people who live directly around and under the flight path of Heathrow. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. What I'm not saying is we just shift the problem to somewhere else in the UK and we have more flight. I don't want to see expansion anywhere in the country at the moment, airport expansion, until we have a far more cleaner mode of air travel. We cannot just shift this problem around. It's a global crisis that we're facing. This is not NIMBYism, it's the opposite.
Well, I look forward to the Lib Dem manifesto, which says that they're going to start banning people from flying.
I'm not banning people from flying, Andrew. Don't put words into my mouth. I'm not banning people from flying.
Longer queues, fares will go up, and the people who will be hit, of course, will be the poorer people, because fares will go up, because there'll be rationing of slots.
And our policy is that we actually put a levy on people who fly frequently, and we actually lower the fares for people that need to fly.
An absolute surefire election loser. On the issue of the regions, though, the regions are strongly in favour of the expansion of Heathrow, including the regional airports, because what they understand is that if Heathrow doesn't expand, what Andy wants is Manchester to expand as well. Let's be clear. But if Heathrow doesn't expand, the gain won't go to Manchester or to Tees Valley or to Edinburgh. The gain will go to Schiphol, to Paris, to Amsterdam, to Istanbul, to places in Europe and on the fringes of Europe that can then provide the intercontinental services, and then we will just become a short-haul destination beyond. And we will lose very significant investment if that happens.
This is incorrect in two ways. And first, even the government's AMPS demonstrated that were there to be expansion at Heathrow, it would negatively impact on aviation capacity in the regions, reducing opportunities there. Some of the new long-haul flights that would go to an expanded Heathrow are pre-existing flights currently flying from regional airports. And second, this notion that planes will switch in a hub to another model. There are lawyers and government ministers speaking in Europe last night at the significance of this decision, because they too are tied, to these climate commitments.
Can I just comment
very
quickly?
Last word.
The very last word is I don't want to ban people from flying. I do want to make people think about unnecessary flights. And actually, as somebody who's out on the doorstep every day at the moment, the thing that's winning votes is caring about the environment.
Okay.
Yes.
Frankfurt has just opened its 4th runway. Germany is the greenest country in Europe. So the idea that to be green, you have to start banning flying is a complete misnomer.
Okay, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed. There has been a major escalation of the conflict in Syria with the death of at least 33 Turkish troops in clashes with Russian-backed forces. It's thought they died during an airstrike in